High card level 4000. How and why? Have you ever tried Space Joker or the 8 ball? Usually terrible. But if we stick a needle of dice steroids straight into the eyeball of jokers like this, we can force them to do our bidding. But I don't have any dice steroids just yet, and we need to survive until a point when we do, so the runner is a good start here. We play some straights and we're basically fine with the plasma deck. We have a hack and a lucky red seal 3 of hearts. We also picked up a red seal queen of hearts, which will be useful later. The main deal here in this seed is that we will find 2 negative dice, which is incredible. It's an insane seed, and we can do all sorts of shenanigans with that. One thing being lucky cards, which hopefully they will trigger a lot and we can get loads of money to spend on all sorts of useful and useless cards of all kind. Showman is an absolutely critical pickup because he allows duplicates, which is kind of the whole deal. And we have our first dice, and the plan, if we don't do the drugs in the eyeball strat, is to we can strap 2 dice to the Space Joker like his rocket boosters and send him incredibly far up into space, where he can either suffocate and have a horrible time or be the most glorious Joker ever seen in this game. And if we decide that we don't like the Space Joker, we can also just do gambling on crack with the 8 ball, because now we will guarantee a tarot card every time we play an 8, and we can boost our lucky 3 to an 8. With the red seal we will spawn 2 tarot cards for 1 single 8 played, and we will be swimming in a sea of tarot cards that most of them will be absolutely useless, but some of them might help a little bit, probably. So we want to start moving towards 8s and kings for later. Death cards are incredible. We clone what we actually want and everything else can go away. The cola is also interesting because there is a cool trick we can do with negatives. I mean, I don't need 2, but we can make a negative tag land on exactly the Joker that we want, because I'm clairvoyant and I know the seed inside out. But we might as well pick up a bonus free negative whatever it's gonna be. All I have to do is juggle my 8 balls, because there's going to be more of them coming back very soon. So we lose nothing, but we also probably gain nothing, but whatever, it's science. The burglar and the ability to re-trigger things is the key here really. We need many hands so we can play 1,000,000 cards. And we also need to then reactivate the Space Joker multiple times per hand played, preferably. And now I think you see how this is going to work. It's going to take about 7 million years. Live as far as I can, play as many hands as possible, juggle the burglar, juggle the spaceman, maybe keep the 8 ball. But this is one of the more metagame sheet strats of this seed. We now have the negative tag. And what I've done is I've re-rolled the shop exactly the amount of times to make it land on a mime. Which, as far as I understand, is one of the more common jokers to get a big score. You reactivate whatever you have in hand, and when we have 1,000,000 Steel Kings in hand later, I will link the tool and how to do this in the description. And there you have it. The reasoning is simply, I also prefer playing a seed blind, but I have played this seed blind a couple of times and I've seen some insane potential in the dice. So then I did the science, I looked up the seed, and I tried to come up with some sort of very big brain strat to push this as far as it can go. And as usual, I've definitely messed it up somewhere along the way, so if you know a better way to push this even further, let me know and we can maybe do better big brain science some other time. The negative reserved parking is actually useful here as well. It ended up being one of my biggest money printers, and I did get rid of my 8 ball. It's fun to print tarot cards, but we really need to be more precise with the steroid dice into the burglar for more hands, and then into the spaceman. We can't share the needle between too many jokers, because drugs are still bad. Also, look at all the 8s I have in hand 1 second after selling my 8 ball. Perfect. And do we stop here? High card level 69, just for the meme. Video over, no more science. It's a good thing we picked up that mime, because already this early on we need him for score. I did forget to reactivate him here and almost threw away the entire run. Because one of the problems here is boosting a high card is not actually gonna do that much for score. It's a fun idea, you see how far it can go. But we need the mime, we need some kings, we need some steel boys. We will need a baron as well at some point. Because high card level 219 is really nothing in the grand scheme of this game. On top of the dice, there is also a natural negative blueprint in here, which I'm assuming is rare. It's amazing anyway, just a free reactivate for the burglar, for the space boy, for the baron, for the mime, whatever we need. The flexibility is insane. In fact, we have more of a first world problem where how do I make space for all these jokers that I want to carry? Because most of the negative stuff I find is still completely useless. I don't know if I used the 8 ball enough before I threw it away. I could have had more lucky cards, more steel cards, more death cards to just create more of the cards we actually use. And now the score is too high, so we're not using all the hands, we're not leveling Space Boy as much as we should. This experiment is just, it's riddled with first world problems. My score is too high. Wow, what a complaint. We do pick up a voucher for one more Joker slot, some free cash, why not? 20 bucks is not really a lot at this point, but we have a brainstorm, cool. Perfect timing, get in here and storm some brains and reactivate some of my kings and get me a score that will carry me to ante 400 or however late this goes. This is also tricky with, we have an ectoplasm here so we can make a negative joker, so we have room for more cool stuff. But because we also have the dice, it makes sense to use some of the wheel cards. And that way I can cover all the jokers that I don't care about in some kind of effect. And then when we have only a select few jokers that we know that we want to use, we can slap an ectoplasm, guaranteed that it's on something useful. And we can keep using the wheels, because again, with the drug strat, with the double dice, it will actually work. Showman is clearly the coolest joker we have. Another brainstorm, more reactivates, more space boy boosting. And this is a problem, I go in here with 16 hands and no discards. And I can only play one hand, so basically screwed myself over by using the burglar. But on the plus side, we have enough brainstorms and blueprints to just boost the baron and the mime, the dream combo, and we barely survive. So we're not even at level 500, and I have almost ruined it twice. So it doesn't really help to have 2 dice boosting the chances of things going well in-game. What I need is 2 dice for myself to boost the chance of me playing things correctly. About 10 seconds ago I was praising the showman, now I'm sacrificing him to the dagger. He's coming back to haunt me twice instantly. But at this point I don't know what else I need duplicates of, like I have 2 brainstorms, I have 3 blueprints. But we could instantly throw away a blueprint, get a Joker-Cola, whatever you call that, get a double tag for another negative trick coming up later. Is that gonna land on anything good? Who knows, certainly not me. Showman is back in, and now I'm gonna keep him for another like minute or 2 until I find another blueprint, then he's out again. And in the actual scientific experiment we have hit level 1000. And this negative tag is exactly the same thing. I've re-rolled the shop so that the burglar is up next, because that was the one thing I could find that I know I'm actually going to use. The problem is that I would have either needed to sell my own burglar first and gamble that I actually find one, or keep the showman so that I can find multiple burglars. I also don't know how the showman and vouchers and that kind of stuff impact the shop order, because looking at the seed analyzer, it should be scripted. But if we have the showman and there can be duplicates, do they shift the shop over? Do they overwrite something? And if I have vouchers where I get more planet cards, for example, will that also overwrite things? At the same time, we skipped one round where I have 16 hands to play, so that's quite a lot of levels into the Rocket Man, completely wasted. But with this negative burglar, we essentially have one more blueprint or brainstorm we can fit in, and I'm hoping that that will, over the course of a long enough run, given that I survive, end up being better. I've only played 702 high cards, it's not that high. We are now running into some serious score problems. I think I can survive this ante, but then we have to do a trick with the Serpent. And the deck has become mostly kings, mostly steel kings, which is now what we need. I have a troubadour, however you pronounce him, for more hand size, which I need to have more cards in hand so that I can get enough score. Else I would be dead here. The good news is we only need to survive this one, and then we can get to 32 for free, basically. Because what we do is we just re-roll until we find the Serpent, the only thing that matters, and we can abuse him to manipulate my hand size to have a big enough hand to beat the score. So we skip small and big blind every single ante from now on. We push this as far as it can go, and that's it. That's the ultimate science I could do at this stage. 211 E's is pretty good, it's probably good enough. I also started adding more cards into my deck at this point because
4,000 years later.
Abusing the Serpent means that I do actually now draw through my entire deck, so I could have more cards in hand if I only had more cards. And that's my first infinity score ever. Nice. Slight problem though, because the score was now so cool that it stays on screen forever and I can't actually see what's going on in that part of the game.
One eternity later.
So now we don't actually need... That was a big misplay. We don't need the guy for bigger hand size now because we're abusing the Serpent anyway. So now I would like my showman back. I don't know where he's hiding, if he's gone forever. Because I need him to be able to get another blueprint so that we can level up more for every hand played. But we are approaching 4,000, so we can definitely go above that. If the game survives, what's wrong now? One Google later, it turns out that if you score something too cool to comprehend, the game simply explodes because it's trying to do math with a real number from my hand played compared to an infinity number, which is not an actual number, and that goes horribly wrong. Thankfully, some very cool internet people on Reddit knew how to fix this. I had to actually go in and edit my save, but the run is alive for now. If you liked this experiment, I'm open to ideas. What else would you like to see? How about another experiment where I tried to push the lucky cat as far as I could? Thank you for watching.